In this video, we'll learn how to use the map dashboard. The map dashboard is a special type of dashboard, and in fact, it's a special type of map that'll transform your workspace that you're used to seeing into a single 2D map with quick access to management of vehicles, landmarks, and messaging. You can find the map dashboard under the dashboard option here called Map. And as you can see, your typical dashboard workspace is now taken over by a map where you have options for interacting with vehicles, landmarks, messaging. We'll look at each of those features in a separate video, but for this video, we're just going to look at some of the basic mapping options. The first thing is the ability to expand the map to full screen. So you have two options. You can simply use this toggle if you want to just expand right and left space, or you could use this expand toolbar option, which will extend your map full screen. So even the top main menu bar will be temporarily hidden. To get it back, you just hit the button again. If you want to see this map every time you log in rather than other dashboard workspace options, you can set this map as your default map dashboard. So the first option that we have is the drop a pin option. If we click this, it'll put a pin in the middle of your map, and you can simply click and drag that to any location you want. And the reason you might use a drop a pin is that when you click on it, you have options to dispatch to or from this location. You could find the closest vehicle, you could obtain the latitude and longitude of that location, or the physical address, or you could create a landmark for repeated use. If you don't need that pin anymore, you can simply click Clear Pin. The next option is the History Trails. When you hover over this History Trails option, you can choose from displaying historical activity for all vehicles in your view between 15 minutes or up to 24 hours. So if we choose, let's see, 24 hours, you can immediately see where all your vehicles have been in the last 24 hours. Each vehicle has a different color assigned to it for the color-coded trail, just so that you can differentiate between them, but the colors do not indicate anything about their movements. And then to turn off the history trails, you can simply use the toggle again. The next toggle is the landmarks toggle. So if you want to see all of the landmarks on your account on your map, turn the toggle on, and you can see when I do that, the different landmarks of different sizes automatically appear. You can also, when you get to the landmarks option, you can turn on or off different groups of landmarks, but for this video we're just focusing on the toolbar option, which is all or none. The next button is the clusters button, which are used to represent more than one vehicle in a similar location. So you can see here that we have this individual vehicle all by himself over here, but then this cluster indicates that we have 3 vehicles congregated in the same place or a similar location according to our current zoom level. The number in the middle of the cluster represents how many vehicles are counted, and then the ring around the cluster indicates the statuses of the clustered vehicles. So the colors are going to correspond to the map legend. It looks like 2 of our vehicles have been stopped for 60 minutes or more, and then one of our vehicles is currently out of range, meaning it's probably parked in an underground parking garage or some other prohibitive location. The cool thing about clusters is that you can adjust the aggressiveness of the cluster. So right now, Jesse is not grouped in that cluster, because at our current zoom level, the map is clean and uncluttered. But if you wanted to, we could increase the aggressiveness. Notice the number changing. And as we do that, now that vehicle is grouped in that cluster. So clusters automatically adjust. So as we zoom in, different vehicles are going to pop out of that cluster. But if we conversely relax the aggressiveness of our cluster, so let's dial that back down, we can see different vehicles popping out. So at this current zoom level, it is kind of hard to see which vehicles are here, but as we zoom in, now it's easy to see. So you can kind of play with what you're comfortable with on your map. The next option is the traffic option. This is going to help you identify the speed of traffic on the road compared to free-flowing conditions. So when I click that, I see, especially for highways, green means that there's normal speed of traffic, and the more red the road becomes, it simply means the slower the speed of traffic on the road. So we have a little bit of congestion in the usual morning spots in Phoenix, but for the most part, roads are pretty clear. And then you can just simply toggle the traffic on or off. The next option is the center button, which automatically will resize and readjust your current zoom level of the map so that it'll include all of the vehicles that you currently have set to be filtered on the map. So for example, if I was zoomed and then when I center, it's going to readjust so that all of my vehicles are now in my view. Okay, and then the next option is the points of interest option, and this is simply going to show restaurants, businesses, parks, parking, and general points of interest on the map. So by default it's turned off because it does add a little bit of clutter to the map, but if you want to see that information, you can simply toggle on and off. And then we already went through the expand the full screen option. So let's take a look at a few more options. One is in the lower left corner, so we have map or satellite view. The default is the default map overlay, and that's what we're looking at now. But you can also add terrain to that, which will show you, especially in different mountainous regions, give you an idea of elevation. So you can turn that on or off. And then you have the option to show satellite imagery, and you can toggle the labels on or off. Now, satellite imagery is really helpful, in particular if you're going to set a new landmark, so that you can really zero in on the borders of the parking lot or borders of the location that you're looking to landmark. Let's go back to the map view. And then finally you have the option over here to zoom in manually or zoom out. You can also just use the scroll wheel on your mouse. And then this guy is a little yellow peg man that you can use to invoke Street View. So if you simply click and hover, all of the streets will show up in this little blue, and that's going to be an indicator of where it's acceptable to drag and drop. So if you try to drag and drop and land your Street View in the middle of the desert, for example, you're not going to get any data. So you want to make sure that you stay on a road, and then you simply release. And now you can turn around, you can move up and down the street and get street level imagery. If you want to turn off Street View, what you can do, it's kind of hidden behind this drop down here, so let's minimize that. And then now we see that we have additional options. We can open this in Google Maps using that option, or you could simply exit Street View by going back, clicking this arrow. Another way to invoke Street View is by clicking a vehicle and then clicking the Street View option from the vehicle card, and that'll automatically take you to that vehicle's location without having to worry about the little yellow peg man. And in that case, to exit Street View, we have this little X up in the corner here. So that's the end of this video, where we learned how to access the map from our typical dashboard options, how to set the map as your default, and how to use the different toolbar options.